The United States Soccer Federation has outlined plans to stop children aged 10 and under heading footballs. Dr. Michael Gray, a leading neuroscientist from the University of Birmingham, said it was dangerous for children to head a football. I asked Dr. Gray about the specific dangers.
There are two areas where we think this is an issue. The first is in the long-term neurodegeneration damage that may be occurring with what we call subconcussive blows that occur when the ball hits the head. So the idea there is if we are repeatedly getting the ball in contact with the head over many hours, over many days, weeks, and years, after a long career of doing this, we believe that there may be neurodegeneration. So there's not conclusive evidence for this yet, but evidence is certainly pointing in the direction that we need to be taking a very close look. The other issue that I particularly have is that heading the ball, especially with young children, most of the concussions we see don't occur from heading the ball itself. It's actually the athlete-to-athlete contact. So when you go up for the aerial challenge, what will happen frequently, we know, is that we get head-to-head contact, or we get head-to-elbow, or the player falls down and strikes their head against the ground, and that results then potentially in a more serious concussion. And I think those are actually the bigger risks.
So would you say that children under 10 and around that age should possibly not play football at all?
Absolutely not. No, and I'm really glad you asked that question. I really think that children need to be playing sport. They need to be getting exercise. The obesity epidemic in this country is a far more serious problem than is concussion. So we really have to encourage children to get out and play sport. Now, I think the important thing is that we need to be playing safely. And where there's a mechanism, then a mechanism for injury, then I think we really need to start to take a look and protect children as best we can.
Based on the advice of the US Soccer Medical Committee, the US Soccer Federation also intend to limit the amount of heading in practice for children between the ages of 11 and 13. So at what age does it become safe to head the ball more frequently?
Well, we don't know the answer to this question, and I actually think that it's not an age-dependent issue so much as a physiology-dependent issue. Children grow and develop at different rates, and therefore I think we should be looking looking on an individual basis, and we really need to be doing the research to better understand that question. Now, of course, in the United States, they've made a decision at a particular cutoff. Of course, if we're going to make decisions like that, there has to be an age where we say there's a cutoff. But really, we need to be looking at physiology, and we must be doing the research to be able to answer these questions more clearly.
What would you say to those parents possibly that might say, I was heading the ball a lot when I was younger, I'm fine now?
Well, that will be what we call a case study, and a case study is not necessarily a good way to do science. We need to look at large numbers of children, look at the effects, for example, of heading the ball in many children, and do comparative studies for example, children who head the ball children who are on teams that head the ball versus children who are on teams that are not heading the ball. And this is an area of research that we're particularly interested in beginning to do here in Birmingham.
A lack of concrete evidence means that for now, children heading a football will remain commonplace on parks across the West Midlands. But Dr. Gray and his team will continue their research in an attempt to make youth participation in sport that bit safer. James Brackpool for the Midland at the University of Birmingham.